Welcome to another episode of Reddit Wolf. Without further delay, let's jump into today's story. Posted by El Raul009. 6 months in, the holidays are going to be difficult. This past April, I found out my wife was having an affair. We had been married 5 years and together for 8. When I found the evidence on her phone, I promptly kicked her out of the house that very day. That same week, she ended up getting pregnant by the affair partner, who is a felon. We have a 5-year-old girl together. My soon-to-be ex-wife was putting my kid around him. He has a 10-month-old, so she was using the excuse of having my kid with them so the baby could have a playmate. I told her that if she wants to have time with her kid, then it needs to be just her and my daughter, not them. Well, both of them didn't want to listen to me. I filed for divorce and filed an injunction against her that she could not put my daughter around him. If she does, then she would be committing a crime. It seems to have worked. It also seemed to have caused a rift between them. Enough to where she asked her dad if she could move in with him, since she has nowhere else to go and nowhere she felt safe. Other than that, I don't know many more details. I don't talk to her much, only if it involves talking about my kid, and even then, I try to keep it short. Her parents and I are on good terms. They understand that it was their daughter's fault and respect that I'm the one that needs to be in charge of my daughter's life. I filed for full custody. My lawyer went ahead and threw in child support. My soon-to-be ex-wife got herself a lawyer, and they offered to settle this in mediation. The first proposed date would have been in December. I thought about it and decided to postpone till after the holidays, and since all of our birthdays are around this season as well. Her due date is in January, and the next proposed date for mediation is April. So that would mean if everything gets settled in mediation, it would be a full year since this all started. If she doesn't agree to my terms in mediation, then we go to court, and it'll get ugly. I'm fighting for what's best for my daughter. A person like my soon-to-be ex-wife can't be trusted and responsible with my kid, based off of her decisions as of late. This doesn't mean that I want to keep my daughter away. I'm willing to let her see our kid on a weekly basis, but the authority and decision-making for my child needs to be up to me now. This is also difficult. I have to make one of the people that I loved most in this world my enemy now. I'm full of anger, deep sadness, a degree of jealousy for someone having been with the woman I loved, and a level of confusion. Confusion in regards to how everything changed so quickly and if what I'm doing is 100% right. About a month ago, she showed up to the house unannounced. She asked if we could talk, so I stepped outside and talked to her in the carport. She asked me for forgiveness, crying to me how she regrets everything, saying that she regrets deciding to keep the baby, telling me she misses everything about us and the family we had in our home. It hurt to hear, because deep down, I miss all that too. I told them, it's not that simple, just showing up and speaking those words. I said that I can't forgive you just based off all this, that the only way I would consider forgiving her would be for her to show it through actions. And I can't tell her what those actions would be. It needs to come from her heart, her mind. Yet, me forgiving her wouldn't mean I'm giving her a chance to reconcile, or even a chance for us to be friends, which is what she asked for. My forgiveness would only be that. Forgiveness. She chose to betray everything she had with us to be with this other person. She can't just backpedal. I told her that she's not allowed in my life, and I don't want to be a part of hers. The most she could ever be is co-parents. That's the price she paid for her decisions, among other things that will still unfold. I have to be this way because I gave everything I could to try and save the marriage. We were having issues, but I never cheated. I made other mistakes, but I worked to try and make things better for all of us. However, she's the one that made the biggest mistake, and doing so fully aware of how wrong it was. It's not fair to me to allow her back in my life. It's not fair to my child to confuse her in that way. I'm going to push forward and make a better life for my kid and I. I will be successful in my ventures, and that's the best revenge I can get. I guess the main reason I wanted to rant is because the holidays and our birthdays are coming up. It'll be the first time in 8 years that we will have to spend the holidays and birthdays in this way. It hurts. Even more so because I told myself I wouldn't acknowledge those days to her. I don't feel like texting her Happy Thanksgiving or Happy Birthday or Merry Christmas. And honestly, I hope she doesn't text me either. On those holidays and on my birthday, I don't know if that's cold on my part or rightfully justified, but that's what I feel. The only time I will be willing to work with her is our kid's birthday, which is also coming up. That way my kid can have both her parents on her special day. Even then, I'll most likely ask her dad to be middleman in certain things. Well, that's mostly what I don't want to get out for now. Maybe after the holidays I'll rant again to prepare myself mentally for the mediation. I want to thank this subreddit once again though. On my most difficult days I come here and find advice and motivation through other people's stories. Maybe one day my completed story of surviving infidelity will help someone else. I wish everyone a good holiday season. Let's be around those people that do love us. Let us enjoy the holiday magic, even during these turbulent times. Take care and keep strong. And now it's time for story number 2, posted by Zoomax. Leaving wayward wife of 16 years. My M38 spouse, F34, and I have been married for the majority of our lives together. I told her from the onset of our marriage that I was willing to work through any issues, except infidelity. We agreed that I would be the breadwinner and she would be the stay-at-home parent. I'm military and was in and out of the household with deployments and exercises. We had long-term goals for the future that kept us motivated through several cross-country moves. I continued to be successful in my career, despite the demands which would leave me completely drained on a daily basis. The thing that kept me going was that I knew I was sacrificing for my family. About 5 years ago, prior to a deployment, my daughter was SA'd by a neighbour. My wife demanded to move from the east to the southwest, and I agreed. I moved them out there before I left on deployment. During this time, my wife went out with some friends and was raped and impregnated. She didn't tell me until she found out she was pregnant. I thought this was an excuse for infidelity, but had no proof, and supported her and worked through the abortion. She refused to file a police report and do a rape kit. This was a huge red flag, but I didn't want to push because I understand how traumatic it could have been. I returned from deployment and finished my time on the East Coast, roughly 6 months. We bought a house at this time because we thought this was going to be where we would retire after I got out. I visited as often as we could afford, then got orders to go to the West Coast. I drove 6 hours one way each weekend to see them for the last 3 years. Everything seemed to be going great. Literally the best our relationship had ever been. Until I got orders for a year stint on the East Coast. We decided to go as a family and to treat it as an adventure. 4 months after we got there, my wife went on a mini staycation with one of her girlfriends. She met a guy and ended up going to see him and his kids. A 3-hour drive on a Saturday. She told me that she loved the beach because it had wild horses and wanted some alone time to get a break from the kids. I didn't see a problem. The next weekend, she ended up getting drunk and calling me by the guy's name. I confirmed the infidelity 4 days ago, and I'm a complete wreck. My kids hate her. I'm not sure what to do. She claims she wants to work things out, but I think she just wants to preserve her quality of life. It seems like this will be consuming the next 3 years of my life, and I couldn't be more devastated. And now for some comments. Clay Dunk, 1970, said, "You won't be able to trust her unless she's right in front of you, and your job is not possible. Show your kids that it's not okay to cheat on your partner, and if you get cheated on, it's time to move on. Do yourself a favor and save yourself a lot of grief. Get a lawyer, have her served, do what you have to do and move on. Start over. It's never too late to be happy." And Zumax replies with, "Yeah, the trust is the hardest part. I got a lawyer, but I'm trying to get her to understand she effed up. But she's oblivious." BS Take Two says, "If you don't leave, all she'll understand is that she can do whatever the F she wants and get away with it. You're inkling inviting more headache on yourself by staying." And Saint Logic says, "The issue is, in reality, she's never needed to suffer the consequences of her actions. Once she sees that this time she effed up so hard that she ruined her marriage, she will be ballistic like a child. The same way she would have acted as a child when facing her consequences is how she will act as an adult, but with the power of an adult, so it will be dangerous. Ever notice how supermodels tend to act like children, just exploding in a tantrum when they don't get their own way? It's because maturity-wise, they're only 14. People, I don't care how cute your little girl is or how much of a prince your little boy is. We all need to face consequences for our actions, or else we will never mature past the preteen stage." Mysterious Sun 1753 says, "I feel for you, OP. I was in the military. I wasn't married nearly as long as you are, but the constant, unavoidable periods away from the family and the home kill all but the very strongest marriages. I was at home for a total of 8 weeks in a 16-month period. Pop. That was all it took. Married again after 7 years and had absolutely no problems despite being away half of the time. If you lose trust in them, they're not worth keeping. They're never going to be reliable. There is way too much nefarious activity going on in and around the barracks. I'm glad you saw through all of the 'I was attacked' guff, because that was exactly what it was. Keep her on your own peril, OP. Once they get the taste for it, they shag your friends, family, work colleagues, randoms, virtually anything with a pulse. Why would you ever think of giving them house space? They are going to betray, embarrass, belittle, and bewilder you. I know that it's tough with the kids, but you have to take the hard road just to survive. Good luck."
And we've reached the end of the episode. Thanks for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.